Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're going to talk about what access dungeon players should be allowed by dungeon masters at the table to canon Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition books. And okay, so let's dig into this. I think I'm going to be the first Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition dungeon master to make this statement and stand on this distinct principle. It is my opinion, and I am saying going forward, if you are a good dungeon master who is fair to her players, then you allow unfettered, full, 100% access to every single page in every canon book, every Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition canon book. That means the PHB, the MM, the DMG, Xanathar's, Tasha's, every adventure, every adventure and every setting book, every moment of the game, and every moment outside the game. And if you do not do this, then you are upholding a distinct problem within Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, which is the distrust, privilege, ignorance problem, which has 3 prongs. You are distrusting your players, you are upholding privilege as a dungeon master over dungeon players, and you are basking in their ignorance. It is fundamentally wrong to disallow access to any book for any player, including adventures for D&D 5th Edition, canon books from any player at any time. Okay? And I'll make my case for it. By the way, I'm fully aware this goes against exactly what is actually in the book. The new Wild Beyond the Witchlight says, it warns, it says, if you're a player, you shouldn't read further, right? That is 100% wrong. The Dungeons & Dragons design team is wrong, right? Now, let me explain this, okay? So, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Scott, if I let my players read the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and I'm running Wild Beyond the Witchlight, they're going to know what's happening. Yes, they will, 100%, right? So let's take that example, because first of all, I'm saying they should have access to everything, right? So why on earth would we let a player read the entire adventure before they play it, okay? Here's why. Because it matches the woke, inclusive, peaceful future we're trying to build. And doing the opposite is saying we do not want an inclusive, peaceful future, okay? Or a woke future, which is wrong, right? We should be inclusive. We all want peace, right? So how does denying access to players to the adventure they're in right now, right, actually build a non-woke, unfair, repugnant world? Here's how, okay? First of all, what you should do is allow every single player who wants to read the adventure, okay? Then they are expected as players not to metagame and not to share that information with you or anyone else who has not read the book. And you need to trust them to do that, right? And so by taking that away and saying, you can't read the book, you're saying, I don't trust you, which is inappropriate, wrong, and unwoke. All right? Okay, next. Privilege, right? We as dungeon masters have an incredible amount of privilege, right? We literally are gods in the world. The only thing we don't have full control of are the player characters, right? So we can change the weather, we can kill player characters anytime we want, right? We have massive privilege, right? Now, what is the sign of a great leader? A great leader declines privilege, right? How did the Roman generals, how did the Roman generals get control of their men? You know what they did? They came out of the best, most respected generals came out of their tents. They slept on the same bedrolls that the soldiers did. They did the same training exercises the soldiers did. Great leaders forgo privilege. You have the privilege to say, step back, player grunt. You don't get access to this. Only my bespoke, blessed DM eyes can look at this page at this time, right? But if you want to be the best dungeon master you can be, you begin to shed privilege, right? We're supposed to be building a world where privilege is broken down, where hierarchy is broken down, right? And this is an area where we can do it. So what do you stand for? A more inclusive, more peaceful world, a woke world, or an unwoke world where people don't have access, right? Okay, last is masking and ignorance. This is such a huge problem. And I love you guys, and I have some commenters that I know this is going to make them upset, right? But I'm telling you, right? I don't do this for money. I'm saying what I truly believe because I think independent Dungeons & Dragons commentary is important, right? And I'm telling you right now, like, I have a commenter who's like, players don't need the Dungeon Master Guide. I will give them the item, and I will tell them about the item, and they'll learn it from me. That is ludicrous and selfish and repugnant behavior, right? If you give boots of speed to a player, why on earth should that player not have to look in your book, but pick up their own Dungeon Master Guide and read every single detail of it immediately? And to hold that from them, again, says, I am special and you suck. I'm the Dungeon Master, you're just a grunt player. These pages are for me, and how dare you put your filthy eyeballs upon them, right? It is wrong. Every book should be allowed. Every page should be allowed at every moment. And to not do that, you are distrusting, you are elevating your own privilege, and you are basking in your players' ignorance. And this basking in players' ignorance, like, I'm so galled by this recent, Professor Dungeon Master saying, I'll do your math. That is the most self-unaware statement. It is so repugnant to feel like you could treat two adult humans, one as a child and one as an engaged player. It is horrible, and I see it everywhere. I see dungeon masters treating players like grunts, right? And it's got to stop. And this is where it stops. Every player gets access to every book, every moment of the game, right? And you can absolutely say, you're metagaming now, but you need to give them the trust and give them the opportunity to not do that. Every book belongs to every player at every moment of the game. I'm saying it here, and I think I'm the only D&D 5th edition Dungeon Master who has this opinion. I'm okay to stand in a field alone. I've done it before, and I'll do it in the future, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is what I think. I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful, wonderful millennium.